It drives me insane that Nico and the Mavs got this lucky. It really does. But if you move on from that to just the basketball part of it, it's even more frustrating because, I don't know. I guess it would be like if you had a friend, a female friend that you weren't going to date, you were taken, but you want this female friend to do well. You're like, damn, she's hot. She's really fun to be around. I hope she gets a great dude. And then she meets a dude, and you're like, this guy sucks. Like, he's nailing everything that moves. She's lying to her or whatever. That would bum you out. That's how I feel about Cooper Flagg getting lumped onto this NBA team, which is currently participating in some sort of a seance in the dark arts to the basketball gods that they're going to play two centers. Cooper Flagg's career is impacted, in my opinion, could be negatively, but we'll see, by the fact that he's joining a team that's trying to recreate the 1980s Pacers, Knicks, Pistons, right? He's the most modern player we've had in a long time. The guy runs the floor. He jumps out of the gym. He defends at least 4 positions. He has a jump shot that looks like it could be reliable. He can run the pick and roll. Like, Cooper Flagg is from the future. And now he's joining a Mavs team where the fit is tough because Anthony Davis has to play power forward and Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford have to play center. His natural position would be on the wing next to another wing and a big. But now what do? PJ needs to play. PJ's obviously one of their best players. And in a perfect world, Lively and Flagg would play with PJ. You'd have one big and 2 wings. But they can't do that because they have to play a big and, 2 bigs together. So
I've heard this, too, from some national people that have said, and they said it early on, like, I think their move is to trade Anthony Davis.
Well, they're not going to do that. They're clearly not going to do that. And I also –
yeah.
So the move then is, do you want to trade P.J. Washington or do you want to trade Daniel Gafford? And P.J. Washington, I think you'd get a lot for. You know why? Because every single team in the league wants a guy like P.J. Washington. But in this bizarre world you've put yourself in, he's actually less valuable to you because you've created a lineup with fewer wing options available. Now, I would still keep him because you cannot have enough guys like P.J. Washington. But if you have to play 2 bigs, and they have to start Cooper Flagg. They can't bring him off the bench. So basically, you've got to make him a guard. You've just got to make him a 2 guard, and why not? To start the season, put Najee at the point, and that's just you're just going to have to run like that. And when Kyrie comes back, it'll maybe
Where's
balance.
Clay?
The bench, coming off the bench. I mean,
I thought that was a big thing. Like
he started all 72 games last year, but let's think it out. Okay, so you're starting Clay over Flagg. So who's your point guard?
Chris Paul.
Even if you're able to go get Chris Paul, or
Lonzo Ball,
some other fill in the blank point guard until Kyrie gets back, who's your 2 guard? You're going to start Clay over Cooper Flagg. What's the argument there? Klay Thompson the defender? Cooper Flagg is already like levels above Klay Thompson defensively.
He can guard other guards?
Yeah.
Okay.
He can guard other guards. He can guard other wings. Klay Thompson needs to see the floor sparingly.
No, Klay Thompson was a guy who's great to play with Luka, right?
Exactly. But Flagg can move around a little bit. He's not a ball handler per se, but he's a playmaker. He can finish. He can cut. He can secondary playmaker.
Yeah, does the ball run through him, though?
It
Does
can.
the offense run through him?
It can. And I think it's going to have to sooner a lot more than I would prefer.
Like they have to totally revamp everything they were doing.
But they can't. Like they have to do this on the fly. And again, the revamp would be they can't play Anthony Davis and Derek Lively together. It's a bad idea. It's always been a bad idea. Now they're trying to retrofit this new age basketball onto this busted time machine they're trying to concoct. And I don't know how it's going to work.
If you're talking simply trade value, what value does Derek Lively have?
A lot.
What confidence do you have that this GM could actually extract?
Well, that's actually a complete other topic that until we see it actually in practice, I'm fascinated by how it unfolds. How's he going to trade with anybody? Like, Doesn't the opposition have a duty to make sure that nobody thinks they lost to Nico Harrison? Does this just result in a Cold War where the Mavericks aren't engaged in trades? I don't know.
Like, could he even? It's kind of comical, but
why would they trade Derek Lively, Dan?
I don't think they should.
No, and I don't
But I'm
mean
just
that from a
saying-
value standpoint. I'm saying because he's part of the cream dream. The cream dream is you've got two giant players on the floor together at all times.
Okay,
So Derek Lively's
Nico's
not,
dream.
and Kidd.
Okay, great.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's going to happen. The only reason I'm confident that Kidd will play flag, if you care again, is because he's huge. You know, we're not asking you to play a 6-foot guard who just has, Trae Young would have trouble getting minutes with Kidd. Cooper Flag is big. The problem is they're built to play an arcane version of basketball that nobody wants to play anymore.
So the thought is then Gafford is going to be traded, right? Like almost has to be.
Yes. Now, if they would trade Gafford and bring Lively off the bench, I guess. But if they trade Gafford and it's for a point guard, you're still in the same situation.
Wait, why bring Lively off the bench? Aren't we starting Lively and
Yeah, but I'm
AD
saying
and
hypothetically there's a scenario where Gafford could get you a starting caliber point guard. And in a ideal scenario, you would split your bigs up and bring one of them off the bench, although you're not bringing Anthony Davis off the bench, and Derek Lively might be your second best player. So he's got to start. What I'm telling you is they didn't just screw things up by trading away Luka and getting poor return. They got poor return that's hard to build around because Anthony Davis has to play the 4 at this point, I guess, per him.
Yeah.
And when you have to have two bigs, it's still a good problem to have because they're both two-way players, but there's a crunch on the type of players that most teams actually want to play these days. Cooper Flag. If you could, you'd have 5 of him.
Well,
but they can't even have 2.
you talk about who will trade with Nico, and you got to make sure you kind of get a pretty good win right away. Could Nico even, because a lot of people have said, you know who needs a center?
Just ship him right out there
The
with
Lakers.
LD.
Like, but could he actually give the Lakers their center as well?
You know the funniest thing would be if he did and they sent back like a
Conditional second.
no, like a Bridges style package. Like, it's 5
more
firsts.
than Luka?
Yeah, and we're like,
He
all right.
trades Gafford for more than Luka?
Yeah, like they're like the league is not rigged. And they're just looking at us like, yeah, it's 5 firsts for Daniel Gafford. So if you look at Nico's whole haul here, he's got Anthony Davis 5 firsts. I don't know. I have no idea how he's going to operate. You know, I don't know if they bring in, there were those reports at one point that they were going to bring in another executive kind of to work alongside him.
Yeah, was that fake? Or was
I just haven't seen any movement on it.
yeah,
So I don't know what happens on that front. It's just, think of it this way. And I think I want to say this specifically to you too, my friend and former Maverick fan. Cooper Flag will be here longer than Nico will be. Now, Dumont, I don't know. But Cooper Flag, it's very interesting to me to just watch how this journey happens. Because whatever he starts at, it's like LeBron. Just imagine it like, hey, remember LeBron was like they tried him at center. Sometimes he was the point guard. They'd try this player with him. They'd try that player with him. Whether you're happy for the Mavs or not, I think it's anytime a team gets a generational talent, and this situation is particularly unique because generational talent usually join a blank slate. This one is joining a whatever this is in process. I think that's really interesting to watch.
So you're totally ruling out that he could be a bust?
No. And they're,
'Cause
whatever.
I wonder, is the NBA easier to judge that? Like, quarterbacks can be a bust.
Yeah. I think in the NBA it's much, much easier.
But back in my day, as they say, I think NBA players were often busts, or we just didn't have enough knowledge, or, like Christian Laettner was a bust. Sean Bradley was a bust. Like, we just hear, oh, this guy's going to be great. He's the number 1 overall draft pick. Danny Ferry was
No, I'm not
certainly a
saying
bust.
Anthony Bennett wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, but
I mean, what's
I don't
his name
think-
from last year?
But in the Anthony Bennett
I can't even
year,
remember last year's 1-1's name. He's so nondescript.
I don't remember hearing generational talent with Anthony Bennett's name.
No.
You know, there are certain
Wait,
guys.
did you hear that with Leitner? No.
I guess I don't know because I don't even know if that term was around back then, but he
Fair.
was the best player in college basketball. They put him on the dream team, and so expectations were really high. Like, oh, this guy is going to be great.
Okay. It would be a I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, if you look at the measurables, the college production, the high school production, the intangibles from people who talk to him, unless there's, dead girl, alive boy, this dude's going to be one of the 25 best players ever.
I got one. Zion.
Zion is
That was a generational talent.
yeah, he's for sure. And Zion's issues are physical, and
You think it's just all that? It's all conditioning?
I think it's a lot of it. And
and
but I
injuries?
think what the other things that limited Zion are the flip side of that benefit Cooper Flagg, which is that Zion was stepping into a league that was changing, and I think, he still could have and can be super, super effective, but he's kind of Charles Barkley. Whereas Cooper Flagg is stepping into a league that is morphing into him. And he is the future. So, yeah, I mean, the guy could be a bust. The guy could end up just being a very good player. But the likelihood is that he's an all-NBA caliber type player sooner rather than later. Iztok wrote about him on his site, and you try to come up with comps, you can't, because there's no combination of player defense and offense-wise. His defense comps are like Draymond, but his offense comps are closer to Steph. And ball handlers. His offensive comps are all Kawhi, and like I said, Steph. There were a couple of other two guards in there. DeMar DeRozan. Like, that's who he is on offense. But he's a 4 or a 3. I don't know.
I remain interested. I certainly don't want the Mavs to win. I don't want this to work out
I know.
for Nico or Dumont. But I am interested in
I know.
watching it unfold, and if they do turn out to be good, then fine. I just won't be a fan. I just can't. But I'm kind of fascinated by the whole thing because, like, Nico effed up his own situation. Like, he's now in a very tough situation for how to craft this roster to be good for like an extended period of time. I guess it's great if you can get the number 1 overall draft pick in a year that there's a generational talent, but
Just hearing you say it out loud makes me mad all over again. Just that Nico lucked into that. It drives me up a wall.